username is Cillian's Creek with a C, titled, "There were rumors of a tunnel system beneath my high school. One day, my friends and I randomly found them." My high school's building is over 100 years old. Still to this day, it sits high up on a hill with a gorgeous view of the surrounding area. Given the great location, I reckon the land's ownership history dates back farther than 100 years ago. Unfortunately, I'd been under the impression that such details have been lost to time. As you'll soon learn, I just didn't know who to ask about it. That being said, talk of tunnels beneath the school had always been more of a rumor than fact. No one could say for sure that they existed because quite literally, no one could find historical documentation to clarify this. The teachers were always dismissive of the rumors, and the administrative staff were quite dismissive of the rumors. One day, my friends and I went to see the school musical. My then girlfriend was in the show, and so was one of my friends, who I'll call Jimmy. Our other friend, who I'll call Max, was there because he loved to criticize. During intermission, we noticed that the rest of the school wasn't closed off. With almost 15 minutes to kill, we figured, why not roam the halls? The gym and weight room are in the basement, which is at the end of this long hallway we're walking. We take a peek down the staircase and see that some lights are on. We go down to the bottom of the stairs and see the long hallway empty. We can hear no other sounds besides the now faint noise of the theater crowd. We walk down the hall because Jimmy wants to check out the weight room. Then, on our way there, we notice a hallway closet door is cracked open ever so slightly. There was no light on the inside, and a very cold draft was coming out. This gets Jimmy excited. He's the sporty kid. Because on the rare occasion it was ever open, you'd see school sports stuff dating back up to 100 years. Before we enter, though, Jimmy insisted that we announce ourselves in case someone in there is taking care of business. He did so, and we got no response. We turn on our phone flashlights and head inside, where it felt much cooler, maybe 50 degrees Fahrenheit, high 40. The first thing we notice is a sliver of pure darkness at the end of the closet. One of the tall shelves had been moved, angled roughly 45 degrees. This revealed what had always been hidden beyond, pure, endless darkness, and a shitload of dust in the air. "You've got to be shitting me," Max said. Jimmy then flicked on the light switch. The closet was suddenly bright as day, and we noticed something we hadn't before. The ground leading into what was obviously the infamous tunnels was pure sand. No footprints. All three of us, literally, say, "Holy shit," at the same time. I check the time on my phone. We have 9 minutes left, and I tell them this. "Let's do it," said Jimmy. Max and I agreed. We were feeling nothing but pure excitement in this moment. There was so much dust that we couldn't see more than 10 to 15 feet in front of us, almost like we were driving past fields in a blizzard. For 2 minutes, we walked straight with a slight crouch alongside snake-like piping. Given all of that, we assumed that the staff, or at least the janitors, must know about this place. The ceiling was low and made with really old wood. We stopped to look at a few engravings/markings on the ceiling and walls from past students, and I noticed that all the dates seemed to stop in the 90s. 1991 was the most recent one I saw. We went down there in 2015. After those 2 minutes, we'd come to a T. The pipes veered off to the right and seemingly nothing to the left. Jimmy and I talk about which way to go for a moment, then Max interrupts us. "Do you guys hear that?" he asked, looking left. There was a very faintly what sounded like water, maybe streaming, definitely plip-plopping, coming from the left. Now, really curious, we unanimously agreed to go that way. We walked maybe 10 feet, and we saw a wall ahead. Dead end. Another step, and we could make out a mounted ladder. and the room itself opened up a bit, not more than 2 or 3 feet on either side. This ladder went up to a metal hatch that looked like it hadn't been opened in years, covered with cobwebs. None of us thought climbing up and opening it would be a good idea. We were dumb, but not too dumb. Not dumb enough to disturb something that looks ancient, so we left it be. Max then pointed out that the hatch also looked dry as a bone. We still hadn't found the source of the dripping noise. The dripping noise, which was now coming from back the way we came? We assumed we must have missed it. I checked my phone and saw we had less than 4 minutes until intermission was over. I tell them this. We can be a few minutes late. I mean, looks like we're already gonna be. I want to find this leak, said Jimmy. Surprisingly, Max argues against this. He argues that we all go back to the show, and for a reason I agreed with. The janitors probably have this place open to do exactly that. Duh, I added. We'd already left footprints. All right, fair enough. What if they don't know about this leak? Said Jimmy. Ah, would you like to tell him this yourself? Asked Max, with a stupid question attitude. Fuck, said Jimmy. How about we take a quick look down the other way and we dip? Quick look, said Max. Yeah, word, I said. Help me, said a deep male voice. We all froze. The voice had come from the same immediate space as us, which we knew for a fact was empty. Maybe dip now? Said Max. Yes, said Jimmy. Yep, I said. We all take our first steps, and again, help me. But this time the voice sounded to be in the middle of us. Again, we freeze. Where are you? Yelled Jimmy, catching both Max and I off guard. His shout reverberates throughout the tunnels. Nothing in return. 10 seconds of silence passed before Jimmy said, Yep, this place is haunted. We started to walk back, slowly and quietly at first. The call for help didn't come again. We came to the T and went back the way we came. At one point along the way, we saw the glow of another, far more powerful flashlight coming our way. Shit, mumbled Jimmy. Hello, I said. Hey, you guys know you're not supposed to know that this place exists, right? Said a voice, one I recognized to be one of the janitors. Yeah, we know, I said. We promise we didn't do anything. We were just checking it out, added Jimmy. We now come face to face with the janitor, who I'll just call Mr. Janitor. For some visual reference, he looks like a shorter Pee Wee Herman. While that correlation might put some iffy thoughts in your head, know that Mr. Janitor is a pretty chill guy. If I had to pick one word to describe him, it'd be neutral. Yeah, what'd you guys find? Said Mr. Janitor. Now that we come face to face and made eye contact, he started to head back to the entrance/exit, waving his hand for us to follow along. We do so. Are we in trouble? I asked, aware of his question, but I guess you could say I ignored it. I see Mr. Janitor shake his head, like he doesn't care. No, not with me at least, but as you guys know, no one really looks at the cameras except me, so you probably have nothing to worry about. Obviously, don't come down here again, though. Of course. So, did you have this place open to fix a leak or something? Asked Jimmy. Mr. Janitor doesn't respond for a moment. No, I just have to take a bunch of temperatures. So these tunnels do link to the school? I asked. Yes, they do, said Mr. Janitor. Now we've come to the exit. My feet felt strange stepping from the sand and back to the school floor. Let's step outside and I'll give you a quick bit of history. Once we're in the hallway, Mr. Janitor turns to face us. His neutral face bears a noticeable hint of somberness. He speaks softly. I figured out that you guys were in there because I heard one of you yelling. That was me, says Jimmy. You yelled, "Where are you?" Right? Asked Mr. Janitor, like he knows something. Jimmy is silent for a moment. Are you telling us a ghost story? Mr. Janitor nods his head affirmatively. Someone died in there. That, and what you guys just experienced, is more or less the reason we pretend the tunnels don't exist at the school. Now, what I'm about to tell you guys, I hope you'll want to keep this to yourselves. But if you ever feel like telling others, just please try not to. If you do, tell your parents or something, but not a student. We all promise, eager for him to get on with it. So this is what I was told by the guy who trained me, because I'm not from here. He told me this after I heard the mysterious leak and calls for help myself. To paraphrase what we were told, in the early 90s, someone working for the town septic crew was in and out of the tunnels using that hatch and mounted ladder we saw. He was scouting out the next day's work by himself in the late evening when the metal hatch suddenly came down right on his head. This cracked his skull and caused massive internal bleeding. He was found on the ground an hour later by a janitor. The janitor was just about to leave for the day when he saw the man's truck still parked outside, so he checked the tunnels and found him not far from below the hatch, dead and bloody. A terrible accident. My friends and I were shocked to hear this, but we questioned it amongst ourselves on our walk back to the auditorium because there's no way we wouldn't have already found that info out. We sat through the rest of the show, and afterwards we went to Jimmy's while our then significant others had their cast dinner. Jimmy's mom had grown up in our town and went to school there, unlike Max and I's parents/relatives. When we told her about how we found the tunnels, she confirmed that the story is in fact true. Apparently, she never told Jimmy about it because she believed the first thing Jimmy would do was try to find the tunnels, which makes perfect sense as far as I'm concerned. She also said that the whole town did take a vow of silence of sorts about it because of how it would affect the school's image, let alone curious minds. We all kept our promise to the janitor not to go back. Like I said, my friends and I might be dumb, but we do our best to be respectful. Now I get goosebumps every time I hear water trickling, though.